and I'll start. it.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself.
Yay. No, days go by fast, I guess. That's just what.
All right, Dave, we got 11 participants on here, so I don't know if you wanted to get started, maybe?
What time is it? It's just 12 now. We'll wait 1 minute and then we'll get going. Yeah, somebody else just joined us now. Okay, we'll get started. Is there anybody who's not seeing Atlantic Business Academy on their screen? Silence is gold. No. I don't know, Carol, my screen won't advance now. I don't know what's good. I'm gonna stop the share and then bring it back on. So are you still seeing it, Carol? No?
No, I don't see any
Okay. Okay,
PowerPoint.
I'm gonna bring it back up and see. So you seeing it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's strange, it's not advancing. Okay, stop it again for a second. Okay, we're back on?
Yes.
Okay. There we go, it's working now.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, my name's Dave McKenzie. I'm with Atlantic Business Academy. Just a quick, you're going to get these slides, so I'm not going to read everything that's on here. Basically, I started my company in 1999, and we've kind of evolved from there. For many, many years, we did the lunch and learns with the chamber, and they're always successful. We basically work on 3 sessions we do. We do marketing for success, selling for success, and hiring for success. So that's, we're in hiatus for COVID and such. So we're back on doing it online. We're going to be live next month, Carol?
Sorry,
Are we going to be live next month?
I'm hoping.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so I'm here, Deb Tremblay from the Chamber and Carol Cunningham. So I'm going to get everyone to, there's so much to cover when it comes to selling. We're not going to get through everything today. I'm going to hit on some points. Hopefully we all learn something, but I want to just do a quick introduction, your name, your company name, and what you really hope to get out of today. Okay, so Julie Pugsley.
Hi, unfortunately I can't show my video today, but I own Breakout St. John and Outwit Adventures, and I'm just looking for kind of tips on how to sell corporately for team building for Breakout and for app-based mobile games for Outwit.
Okay, perfect. Am I saying this right, Rami or Romy?
Hi, it's Romy.
Okay.
So I'm owner at Sweet Vanilla. So usually I'm working during the public market and do catering. So I was just wanted to have more like tips and I don't know, or more strategy on like growing my
Okay.
business.
And what was your name, company name again?
Sweet Vanilla.
Okay. Okay. Lori Paris.
Hi, my business is LDP Immigration, and I just love coming to these things, Dave, and
Okay.
learning little tips here and there. And I guess in one sense, I'm hoping to learn some new ideas around relationship selling, especially in the age of COVID.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Okay, Beth.
Hi, I work for Carnegie Thorne, insurance broker. Just kind of looking for some tips on how to manage sales via online.
Okay. So you're talking about selling online?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's more of a marketing type tool. We're probably not going to talk a lot about that today, other than some of the tips you learn from that, but.
Right, that's fine.
Okay, Adam Forstner.
Good morning, it's Adam. I work at Carnegie Thorne Insurance as well. I'm just looking for some strategies to help increase our sales.
Okay, cool. Paula McKinley.
Hi, I'm the Vice President of Development and Strategic Partnerships for the Heart and Stroke Foundation of New Brunswick. A lot of my role and the role of my team is around recruitment of sponsorship and funding for events and programs that we have at the foundation, which essentially is selling. So I was looking for some tips and some information today on that.
Okay, Stephen Gahan. You with us, Stephen? Okay, maybe he stepped out for a second. Amanda. Okay, are you with us, Amanda?
Hello?
Hi,
Oh, sorry.
Amanda.
Hi.
No problem.
All right, my name is Amanda Langley. I'm with Carnegie Thorne Insurance as well. Been servicing for a while, newer to selling, so I'm just looking for some tips that you might have, soaking in all the information.
Okay. John Bork.
Hi, John Burke with Burke Industrial Limited, and just looking at or possibly some different tips and strategies.
Okay, cool. And Debbie Green, who actually Debbie and I will be starting to work together this afternoon.
Yes, and I'm quite excited about that.
So,
Well, I've been to the last couple of meetings and basically same. I'm Debbie Green from Katina Jobs Plus Skills and Development Center. And we purchased a building over on Main Street West during COVID, moved our embroidery shop over there. Plus we opened a little secondhand clothing kind of craft affair for our participants to work at. And we're just looking for like help with marketing and selling things and doing online. And I guess just for us, we're looking for, well, I think you know everything, Dave, we're looking like for a brand and like where we fit in the community and all kinds of different things.
right. Mhm. Okay, cool. Stephen, have you joined us again? Okay. Okay, we're gonna get going because there's lots to cover here today. So is there anybody here who works on commission? Okay, that's a surprise for a sales group, but
Yes.
but then some are owners, so they're definitely working on commission. So yes, so what we're going to talk about today, we're going to cover a lot of different things, but one of them is CASH, which stands for knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits. Believe it or not, product knowledge is a small part of the sales process, about 5%. Many would argue, I did not say it wasn't important, but someone could have all the product knowledge in the world and yet not be able to sell. And if they can't sell, the knowledge of their product is kind of not valuable to them. When sliced bread really only started selling in the 1950s, yet the builder of the sliced bread machine was built in 1916, and he knew everything about the sliced bread machine, but he couldn't sell. Therefore, until Wonder Bread bought the sliced bread machine from him before it became popular and sold. Attitude, there's nothing that I can really, or anybody can do with someone who has a poor attitude. So today we're going to talk about skills and habits. Everybody's heard this before. And when it comes to your habits, it's just so important as to, having good skills and good habits. And so as you think about yourself, and you're going to see that in the presentation today, I'm a big scorekeeping believer in if you decide what your sales want to be as to how you're going to get there, Amanda, like you're using Sam, say you're newer in selling. And so, I'm sure there's skills you need to improve, and there's many ways to find them and get them, today with online and everything like that. So, but the big one is habits. A salesperson who, has poor habits are really going to work harder than a salesperson who has good habits. And we'll give you some tips on that today. So we kind of did that a little bit at the beginning. So how much time do we spend selling each week? Here's a few guesses. See how close we come. Amanda, what do you think? Beth.
I'm going to say probably about a third of our time.
A third, okay. Laurie.
I think it's all day, every day.
All day, every day. Okay. Julie.
Well, I don't do it enough, that's for sure.
Good answer.
So I mean, I'd just be completely putting out a guess if I was gonna say anything.
And what would your guess be? Which is it closer to, a third or all day, every day?
Well, I mean, I am always like pushing, like little bits of information when I meet new people and things like that. So, you have to be on the lookout for sales opportunities, I guess, all day, every day. But in terms of dedicated time to like looking for new contacts and leads and contacting them, I would say probably maybe like 25%.
25. Okay. John.
Or about a third.
Third. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you a number that's going to shock you. But, and I'm not saying that, well, nobody's doing it all day, every day, that's for sure. But I'm not saying your numbers are wrong from what you do if you've tracked it. But typically, and every sales team I work with, we actually do this and scorekeep it. And it's an average of 4 to 6 hours a week selling. Now, that doesn't mean they're not working 40 hours a week or even 50, but they do a lot of different things. So, I'll actually, go through some of them, but I mean, for some people, it may be travel if they're selling to outside sales. For some people, it may be customer service, meetings. Your 48-hour week gets gobbled up. If you look at it, the typical, and the other time, as you said, Julie, you're looking for opportunities, you're talking to people about what you do, but are you actually selling? So how much time are you actually talking to someone who is considering or should consider or is a prospect for what you sell? And I mean, here in the Maritimes, one of the things we do with every sales presentation, sales call is we're social. So we may talk to someone for half an hour, but it might only be 5 to 10 minutes of actually selling. And so this is something that you could track for yourself and see, because the cool thing about it is, because we actually spend so few hours selling, and I've never ever hit 10. And when I do this group, I've never found a salesperson who's 10. Now I haven't trained in a coffee shop or something like that just has continuous people coming in, but I've never seen 10 in any time I've done this, and that's in 23 years. So if we could get our 4 hours up to 6 or 6 hours up to 9, it's only a 50% increase. But 50% increase in activity should result also in a 50% increase in sales. So we are only spending 5 hours a week selling. If we can get that up to 8, 7.5, 8, it's a huge difference, because the other stuff's all important. And one of the things we find as salespeople is, as we grow our business, therefore, some of the other things that we have to do in fulfilling what we promised our customer looking at. Now, if you're fortunate that you have a system in your company that as soon as you've done the sale, that's it. I think one of the most interesting things I seen was in a snowmobile, a Honda dealer, Honda motorcycles, Skidoo snowmobiles in Grand Falls, New Brunswick. And the guy owned the place, and he was a sales extraordinaire, and it was a very busy dealership. He sold on low margins, and so he had a lot of people coming from all over the province of New Brunswick to buy from him, and he really built a big business. But the second the customer says, okay, I'll take it, he walked them over to another person who took care of doing all the paperwork part of the sale. That's very rare that happens in a business. Mostly if a guy sells a car, he's got some work to do it, or whatever it is you're selling, you've got some work to do. So and with that, the number one reason the sales professional sales are down is lack of activity. Typically you find out that the person was doing a really good job of being in contact with the people out there, activity, on the phone, whatever, and that. So it's an easy thing to fix. And top performers will spend 35% of their sales time. These are some of the other things you do. You got 10 on travel, 5 in administration. You're actually doing presentations 15% of the time. Customer service 15, self-improvement 10, even meetings, coaching, doing what we are doing here today. And but number one is prospecting. If you're not doing a good job of prospecting, then you're not growing your business like you should. Now, that has become a little bit tougher today because of the, especially for salespeople that are used to people coming to their store, or you're used to going out and visiting your customers at your location, at their location. So that's become a bigger problem. So therefore, the importance of having good websites, using the phone, using Zoom. The world has changed, but still being in contact. People still want to buy, and so RV dealers, for example, I have some customers in that industry. What they're finding is they have less people coming to their store. but the people are walking in there basically with the model number and the picture of the RV that they want to look at because they've done so much research online. So they're seeing less people, but yet their sales are going up. And so your importance of your website is huge when it comes to having your customer access your people and how they're going to get in touch with your making sure you have good geofencing so that they're going to find you when they do Google what it is that you sell. Favorite saying of mine from Henry Ford, which is an amazing man of how he turned the car industry around. And most people don't know this, but when he started Ford Motor Company, there was over 200 car manufacturers in the United States because they were all building them one car at a time. So when he put the assembly line in, he was able to, and he learned the assembly line from going to a meat packing plant in Chicago and seeing how, the carcass was hung on a rack and it went, somebody cut this part off, cut that part off. And he's seen that assembly line going, so I can do that with cars. Because his goal was to make cars affordable that his own staff could afford to buy his car. Okay. So I'm going to, this is a little hard to do online, but we're going to try it anyway. So there's 4 ways to grow any business, and there's only 4 ways to grow them. Now we have to do a lot of other things. Does anybody have an idea of what the 4 things we have to do to grow your business? Okay, we will ask Adam this time.
What 4 ways to grow the business?
Yeah, if you're going to wake up this morning and grow your business, what are the 4 ways you're going to do it?
Start with prospecting.
Prospecting. Yep. Okay, Paula.
I think one of the things that we're always trying to do is be innovative. So we're always looking at what people want, what does the customer, essentially our donors and potential sponsors want, and we're creating events and experiences that are going to appeal to them.
Okay. Beth.
I would say referrals.
Good one. We will talk about that for sure.
Like center of influence.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very important, the center of influence. So you kind of touched on a couple of them that we'll get to it, but these, if you're a salesperson looking to grow your business, you need to decide how many and which way of these 4 ways to grow your business is going to be. The first one, and as we do prospecting, we will get more customers. But the prospecting alone won't do it, but referrals will help along with that. So how many customers do you have? Does anybody know that right off the top of their hat? Not surprising. You need to know that if you're going to get more. So as we set our goals and look at it, say, okay, how many more customers do I want? Can I handle? And maybe you're in a business you can't get more customers. Rarely, but possible. The second thing we're going to do is sell them larger orders. What goes with what you have? Let's use the insurance business. I guess what the example of that? You have their car, so you get their house. Is there different insurances for your car that you could have, like, as an example? Someone in the clothing business, an example of that is you're selling someone a suit. Well, that's a bad example. Nobody buys suits anymore, but you're going to make sure you sell them a shirt and tie. Whatever it is you're selling, how can I upsize that order? You'll see that in restaurants. I know that there was a seminar this morning on restaurants. You go into the restaurant and you order your steak. Well, they're always going to want to get onions and mushrooms and that. So how am I going to sell my larger order? The third thing is have them come back and use you more frequently. Now that might not work in the insurance business. For a homeowner, they only need one, they're not going to come back more than once a year to buy their insurance. And you have to accept that if you are that type of business, that it's a one-time purchase per annum, or maybe in the car business, it's one time every 4 years. selling them, but you could still work on that and say, okay, we'll get them to come back every 3 years. And the fourth one is raise your prices to increase your margin. That one, you know, is unbelievably easy to do in a lot of cases and hard to do in others. So getting more customers. What do you have to do as a sales professional to get more customers? And as Adam mentioned, prospecting, number one. And scripts for your introductions. So when you are, this is especially important if you're starting to find that you're doing more and more phone sales and that. So, and I'm not recommending whatsoever that you read exactly what you need to ask, but you need to make sure that you have a script, you know, solidly in your mind, is to make sure you're going to cover everything. What do you do before you get paid? This is a really interesting one, is that what service can I offer to a customer that they're not going to pay for so they get to know me? This is, you know, especially important if you're selling something that's a little bit, you know, different, especially more if you're selling something that's more in the aspects of air, like it's not something that you can hold in your hands. So do you have a solid presentation to present? And you know, PowerPoint is an awesome way now, especially. I mean, it's hard to show brochures online or on Zoom and that, but if you have good professional materials, that's great. So, and putting those onto PowerPoint and that. This is the biggest one. What is your follow-up process? It blows me away when I look at companies that they don't have, someone comes in to see them, they don't collect their information, and that make sure that you have a follow-up process. Because people who come to your place of business are typically looking to buy what it is you sell. I had a situation with a sales guy at an RV dealership in Moncton, and this guy, he had the 52 people who didn't buy from him that year. He had kept all their information, and later on in the summer season, he contacted all 52 of them to see how many had actually bought. So they had come in, they looked at the RV at his place, didn't buy one. And of the 52 that looked, 51 bought RVs. The one lady who hadn't, she just hadn't found the trailer she wanted. He found it for her, and she ended up. So all 52 that took the time to go to that dealership to visit that salesperson in particular that didn't buy, did buy somewhere else. So you know, it's important to keep on your follow-up process with everybody that comes to your place of business. He did that too late because it was later in the season, and but it showed the process, and now he doesn't leave it as late. So referrals. We talked a little bit about that. Do you have a downsell? The person who comes in and is looking at, the Toro company does this the best with lawnmowers. So the salesperson, if he's following what he's trained to do, will, when you come in to look for a lawnmower, will go to the $1,000 lawnmower. And when you say, oh, I can't afford that, then they're going to take some things off, smaller engine, not self-propelled, whatever, and they'll downsell you to $400. Now, what happens is when they're doing that process, they've got a $1,000 lawnmower, an $800 lawnmower, $600 lawnmower, and a $400 lawnmower. Somewhere when they start from the 1,000 going down towards the 400, the customer's going to stop and say, no, I don't want the 400, I want the 600, or I want the 800, because there's some goodies on there that they don't want to miss out on. So what's your downsell if somebody's looking at your product that, you know, let's say your price is, you know, $2,000, and you know, they don't want to pay that much, and so looking at that, so very important. That way you get them as a customer, especially if you're selling a service that, you know, that's very repeatable, that they're going to come back. I love this, and the people that use this, they get referrals. Because a lot of people will say, well, I'm running my business and I get a lot of word of mouth, which is a fantastic way of growing your business, except it's a slow way of growing your business, because most people will talk about what? the negativity, not the positive. But yet they still love you and they love your products. So just, you know, this question here, I mean, one of the questions you have, do you have anyone that you could refer to me? Most people would say no to that. And if they do, you can't squeeze them because you're already your customer and you're looking for, you know, a favor from them. But when you ask it this way, do you know 5 other people who recommend this product to? You know, whatever your product is, it's amazing. You may not get 5, but if you get 1, that's great. I got 9 one time, and so it's a really good, because referrals are, I always say, if someone gives you a referral, it's yours to screw up, because, you know, if they're recommending you and you can phone up and say, I was talking to Jane and she said this is a great product, you know, your chance of selling has gone way up because there's some credibility there, because most people don't know who you are, what it is you sell. So just an example of 5 salespeople, we did this, and we we went hard on new prospects that week. This was a 1-week period. So between the 5 salespeople, they'd seen 224 new prospects. 23 did buy, but what happened to the other 201? And that's the key there, is, you know, getting back to them and making sure that if they didn't buy from you, why and what you can you know, sell to them from that. So selling larger orders. Do they buy all their needs from you? Or are you just supplying them with part of their products? Can you upsell? You know, if I haven't come across many businesses that can't upsell, but you know your business better than I do. What goes with the items they're buying, and you're showing them other options. Julie, question for you. When you're selling your breakout sessions, how many price points do you have?
So it depends on the product. So we have like our on-site games, but we also have like corporate games. So it depends on what you're talking about, I guess. We have a bunch of different products. We have portable corporate team building games. We have on-site options. And then we also have like—
So is an on-site option just there's a price for doing that? Or
yeah, so like if it's people coming on site, friends and family, or people coming on site for team building, then it's per person pricing. So if it's a really small group of 4 or less, or sorry, less than 4, then there's kind of a premium pricing for that. But if it's 4 or more players, then it's $25 plus tax.
Okay. So do you have an upsell for
that? No. I don't have an upsell.
Okay, so
we have, I mean, we used to have t-shirts, and sometimes we have escape room related board games. We bring them in usually around the holidays, like around Christmas.
Okay.
But I just find like holding inventory, it doesn't make enough sales through a year to hold the inventory for as long, because people aren't coming in, you know what I mean? But I also don't have my staff trained on upselling, so it's more just if people see them and want it, that my staff aren't like, hey, would you like to get a shirt?
Do you know what a difference that would make? Blow you away. Yeah. And so yeah, that's the big thing. We like to talk about your market dominating position, and which is awesome to build, but if the staff didn't buy into it, then it's not going to you're not going to grow it. And that, so we should talk someday, Julie. Are you showing them other options? And that, so that's the big thing. Are you showing it to them? So have them come back more often. How are you staying in touch with them? A lot of people using online are using, I would say number 1 would be Facebook. There's other forums, but that would, to me, would be the other one, the most popular. But to me, there's only one way to stay in touch with your customers, and that's, I shouldn't say one way, but the most inexpensive way is calling them, or that's one way. That's slower, but email. And so what are you doing to collect the email addresses of your people? I had a customer one time, and he had a big ad in the paper that he was having Customer Appreciation Day. And I said, why would you need to advertise, spend, at that time, $1,500 for a newspaper page to tell your customers you're having a Customer Appreciation Day? You should have all their information and invite them to it. But he was really using it, calling it that, but it was a sale that he was having. So how do you remember their name? Is there anybody here really, really good at remembering names? Not a surprise. Okay, here's how you remember someone's name easily. When you're introduced to each other, the first thing you need to be really conscious of is listening and hearing their name. Now, today I'm because of Zoom, I can see your names on the screen. But if I was doing this session live, most times I would be able to get introduced to you once, and I'll remember your name. I won't say forever, but I'll certainly remember it for that meeting, the rest of that meeting, and I'll more than likely remember it forever. And the secret to it is, and people don't know when you're doing this, is let's say I'm first introduced to Lori. I would say, oh, Lori, really nice to meet you. Lori, tell me what it is you do. And then before that we separate, Lori, it's been great meeting you. I can't wait to see you again. What did I do there? I said Lori's name 3 times. And now that I've done that, I remember who Lori is. And so it's just because if you know their name, I had a lady who works with my wife, and they were in PEI a couple of weeks ago, and I said, where'd you go to dinner? Oh, we went to this Vietnamese restaurant in Charlottetown. And I said, there's so many choices over there. Yeah, we go in there. The first time we went there, he introduced himself to us and got our names. And the next time when he walked in, he knew our names. And they continue to go back to that restaurant every time because they know their name. I guess it's what was that show? Cheers. Everybody knows your name. And that's the one thing about this one is, in some businesses, let's take tombstones. You can get more customers, you can sell them a larger order, you can raise your price, but they're not coming back again. And now some people say, well, you can get a referral, but that falls under the category of get more customers. And that's it. So some businesses can't do all 3 of these. The same thing is raising their prices. Depends on how competitive their industry is. Right now is probably, if you're thinking about raising your prices, is probably the best time to do it. Everything they buy today their prices have gone up. And so, I don't know. Beth, would I be right or wrong in saying that with insurance?
Well, with insurance, all the companies are
So
regulated, so
you're a broker then,
right. So yes, the rates have gone up over the last couple of years.
Right, but you don't determine that. Wawanese or Aviva determines that. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So there's an example of a company that can't raise their prices. Julie, could you raise your prices?
I just did, actually.
Okay, good for you. Because I think you were on one of my other sessions. We talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah. Everything has gone up, and my costs have gone up. I increased my employees' wages during COVID, and so.
Right. And did it have an effect on your business? Or do you know yet?
I don't know. I don't think it hasn't so far. I don't think, our business is going up, but it's because we were closed for.
Right. Yeah. So you don't really know yet. John, can you raise your prices? Or have you?
We can to a point, but our market is small. So, anything that we really raise if you want to compare on a per hour basis, we quote a lot of work. I can raise my price to whatever the heck I want. At the end of the day, is that quote going to be accepted?
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
So you're doing a lot of quote. So you're does a lot of your business come, they go get 3 prices and whoever get the lowest price gets the business? Is that kind of?
In theory, that can be the
Yeah.
case for sure. I mean, we sell to an industrial sector. So,
Right,
you know, we don't sell to the walk-in.
right.
But there's that old adage, right? You raise your price till someone squeals.
Yeah, exactly.
We just don't know where that, you don't always know where that squeal point is unless
Yeah.
someone, well, the guy down the street says he can do it for X per hour. So, whatever, right?
Right,
So yeah, can we raise prices? Sure. Everybody can
Right.
raise the prices,
right.
obviously.
Mhm. Yeah.
But do we see an increase in sales or a downtick? Impossible to calculate.
Right. Okay.
Too many other factors. involved,
Factors, right.
Other than just that dollar per hour, whatever,
Yeah.
that we do.
Which is a really good point too, because, a lot of people feel that the customers buy on price and it's true to certain people. 23% of the population, their only buying criteria is price. They're the type of people who will go to Superstore because coffee is cheaper, and then they'll go to Sobeys because tomatoes are cheaper, and they'll go to Foodland because onions are cheaper. They just buy on price. But the good thing about that 23% of that way, 77% aren't. The other 77%, how they're treated, quality of product, service, location, so on and so forth. So yeah, there are some people that, and I know probably in your business, John, because I do a lot of work in the construction industry, and there's some people that they just put the quote out and whoever has the lowest price gets it. And in a lot of cases, it doesn't work out that well because they put such a low price on, they can't deliver the service as well as they should. So
Exactly.
exactly. So I'm going to talk a little bit about measurement. This is not, nobody here was on commission, so I'm not spend a lot of time on that. But so setting up key performance indicators and what needs to be measured in your company. It's unfortunate it's not published anymore, but there was a great book out called Scorekeeping for Success. And when I work with companies that put in measured systems where the people are paid by the performance of what they do, it is just amazing how everybody steps their game up. And but this guy wrote this book, Scorekeeping for Success, and he was driving home. It was a really, really hot day in Texas, and his air conditioner system went down. So all the staff said, we can't work, it's too hot. So he allowed them to go home that day. So, and I don't know if you've ever been to Texas in the summertime, but it's like 110 degrees. It's just so hot. And so on his way home he stayed a little longer in the office. Driving home from the office, he drove by a tennis court, and there was a staff out playing tennis. Then there was a basketball court. There was a staff out there playing basketball. He come to the point that he thought, wow, why are these people out in this heat working? Well, they were having fun because they were keeping score. And so he put that system into his workplace, and the liveliness of his company changed in that. So no, I don't know how much training you all had in goal setting, but that's a whole extra session on itself. I'll talk a little bit about it, just about the ability to set goals, and why are most New Year's resolutions fail to go, because they just said, I'm going to lose some weight. They didn't say, I'm going to lose 10 pounds by April 30th, as using that as example. And so your goal has to be specific. It has to be measurable. There has to be an action plan to it. It must be realistic, and it must be time bound. Some of you, I don't know all your ages, but some of you will remember Tom Young, who was a very popular radio announcer here in the city. And at one point in time, Tom lost a ton of weight. I think it was close to 100 pounds, but he never set a goal to lose 100 pounds because he knew that wasn't realistic, or he thought it wasn't realistic. He set a goal to lose 5 pounds. And then when he lost that 5 pounds, he set another goal to lose 5 pounds, and so on and so forth. So after doing that 20 times, he lost his 100 pounds. I don't know if it was exactly 100, but in that range. And that, So by doing this, and when you set the goals, okay, what's my action plan? Well, if I'm going to lose weight, am I going to start walking? Am I going to change my diet and all that stuff and that? And one of the reasons that people, they fail in their goals is if they don't lose that 10 pounds by April 30th, they just let it go. And then they're back to where they were. Where if they said, I'm going to recycle my goal and say, okay, maybe I'm not going to make it by April 30th, but I can still do it by May 31st, that type of thing. So the same thing with your sales goals as to setting them up so the most important part of that is the action plan that you have for it. So what am I going to do to reach those sales goals? And so as I say, the difference between a dream and a goal, and once your goal is written down, once you have your plan and then your actions, and they can become reality. And as I said before, goals can be recycled. So, okay. Interesting. In John's case, he doesn't know because he's doing a quote, but if you have the opportunity when you're meeting with your new prospect, is finding out what their objections are and being able to handle it. And so you're going to face rejection and objections in two different cases. One, when you're trying to meet the prospect. Now, one of the things, if you're doing sales to business, I think one of the best things I've seen, and it could, I'm not sure if it worked with consumers or not. No, it wouldn't. Is a book out by Tony Parnello called Selling DeVito. And it talked about trying to reach that. And Lori, you might experience this selling to companies and how to get past the gatekeeper to meet that new prospect. And so Tony come up with his letter writing thing that you would write a little letter as to to pique the prospect's interest. And in the bottom of it, you put PS. I will call you Thursday morning at 10:30. If that is not convenient, please have, and you would have found out the secretaries or the administrative person, the person that was going to be answering the phone. If not, please have Lori call me back and set another time. So then what happens is when you call in and Lori answers the phone and say, can I speak to Sally? Who's calling? And you say, is she expecting your call? The answer is yes, because you told her you were calling her at 10:30. Now, it also helps you be disciplined that you know that whoever you're calling, you're going to be on time because you're not going to be late. And so this is kind of an effective way of getting past the gatekeeper. And it works. I think I used this many times, and the person, not always are they there, but I can always say they're expecting that call. And I did have in a couple of cases where the assistant did call me back and say, that's not a good time, but he wants to talk to you. Can we set another time? So I know that works if you're doing business to business sales. And the other time you're going to face objections is when you're in the sales presentation. And what are the most common objectives you hear in your business? And Julie.
I don't feel like I get a ton of objections because I don't initiate sales calls. So most of the time people are like I do marketing and then people will contact us and then I answer their questions and things. So I need to start selling. I haven't really gotten to the selling point.
Okay, good. Rami.
In terms of outwit, I think that the biggest objection that I hear is just that they don't have the budget for it.
Okay. So, Rami, what's your most popular objection?
Mine will be more the prices, because I'm more in the niche market, let's say, because everything I make is made from scratch. Let's say, example, I sell French macaron and everything that is gluten-free made from scratch. So my prices are more expensive than the one that you buy at Costco, right? So the first objections they have, like, why would you be that expensive? I can get that at like $19 at Costco. Like,
Right.
that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Adam, what's your biggest objection that you hear?
It would be price.
Price,
Price would be the
okay.
biggest objection. It's rarely coverage,
Okay,
more often the price.
right, okay. So they say the price is too high, and I'm not saying this will work in every industry, but compared to what? And there's a great answer to that, because sometimes in John's example, you know, they say your price is too high. Well, compared to what? Did the person who's doing the quote offer as much in the quote? So therefore, compared to what, to find out if you're comparing apples to apples. And so as I say, the insurance business, you know, might or might not be the same, but it's that way you also find out who your competition is. Compared to what? Some people will open up and said, I was talking to so-and-so at so-and-so, and that was their price. And then you can know if you can compete to it. But it's just you know, oh, your price is too high compared to what? And just to open up conversation, you know, open-ended questions that can keep the conversation going and find out information. And that's it. And some of these questions are ones that they don't hear anywhere else. Now, handling objections, to me, if it's something you do face, in a lot of cases, it's you didn't do the proper fact finding to do the you know, to find out what it is really on. So the column on the left is what most salespeople do. The column on the right means, and so your closing is going to take 50% of the time of the process, where if you spend 70% of your time on fact finding, your presentation is still going to be the same, and your closing will only be 10% because you found out what it is that's important to them. You know, talked about the slide kind of is in the wrong place, but anyway, that's the scorekeeping. You can read that later. So, but your fact finding session is the key to your success. And you know, if you get really good at asking questions, there's nothing worse than a salesperson who just spends all their time, and you see it all the time, talking about their product, their service, what it is they sell, versus actually doing an interview. I've gotten really good at this, mainly because I also sell human resource products, and I have a lot of time where I'm helping customers with interviews. And so I'm doing the interview, I'm asking all the questions. And, you know, I do very little talking in that interview, where I see some people who do all the talking being in an interview, same as their sales presentation. They're telling everything how great their product is. And they may not even found out if the product that they're trying to sell to this customer is exactly what they need or want. So that's why fact finding is so important. And these are just some questions that, you know, just get them talking. And if you get them talking, that means you're going to find out so much more from them, and you're going to be able to offer a better product. The other neat thing about it is when they say something, wow, I don't know if I wanted to pay that much, or, you know, so then you can say, well, one of the things you said to me important was, you know, that you needed to have air conditioning. Well, you know, and so when you start taking the things away to get the price down, if price is an issue, then they'll stop you and say, no, I really need that. The example I used of the Toro lawnmower selling system and that. So just remember that when you walk out of that sales call, that you've done 20% of the talking and they've done 80. And that way, not just a sales call, any sales interaction you have, be it on the phone, that you're doing all the question asking, they're doing all the talking. And that, because people are funny, once you get to talking, they'll tell you anything, you know. So it's just using the right questions and that. So, you know, you need to think about the questions that you need to be asking. Note-taking to me is so important for two reasons. One, you gather the information you have, and which means you can make a better presentation. But probably the biggest reason is the customer looks at you and say, hey, this person cares what I'm saying. So when you're asking the questions and you're taking notes, And if you really have a great system, and I just introduced this to a company, a design center, and their staff is blown away about how much information they can get from the customer by, they have a forum, they actually are asking the questions and taking notes on it. And at the end of the session, they just say, well, can I have your name and email address? And, you know, when I first introduced them, they said, oh, nobody's going to give us that information. And I went back in 2 weeks later for this next training session, and they were blown away by almost everybody gives us the information. And why was that? Because they asked. And that, so now they're building their database to have in their email system so they can promote other products to their customers. And that. So there's just so many ways and means of, you know, really helping your customer, because you're finding out, what it is you need and that. So. Exactly. So sometimes you need to come back to them, which I like that, because then you're having another appointment with them and a second chance to meet them and sell them. So this is another thing that if you're doing business to business sales is after your presentation and they haven't made up their mind, of phoning them back, say, I was thinking about our meeting, I just wanted to, and make up something that you can talk about, you know, something extra, or maybe you did forget to ask something, it could be legit. That way you're making another contact with them, because the more contacts you have with them, the more likely they're going to buy from you. And that, so, and these are just some of the things you can say for that. Think about something for a reason to contact them. And then, you know, if you have items you're researching, but just that more contacts, and it's so much easier now with emails and so on and so forth. What is your process of staying in touch? And that education is a great process. You know, back a few slides, what are you willing to, I guess I have it on this slide too. What are you willing to do for them before you get paid? You know, what have you offered them? Especially, you can't really be giving product away, but is there something that you could take from your time and offer them an education in that? So not too much that you're turning into a consultant for them and not getting paid for that. And that I'm working with a company that sells fire stop for buildings, and he would sell the product and then they'd be back to him all the time with questions and that. And we just set up a consulting fee, and he says, I can't believe it. He said, everybody takes it. So he's now getting paid for the information he was giving away before. So you know, just handling the objection for new prospects. If you know what their present supplier is giving, you're trying to get them away from someone else. And one of the most common objections is, I need to think about it. And the reason this objection is given in a lot of cases is they just aren't interested, but they don't want to tell you they're not interested. They're, you know, us people here in the Maritimes, we're nice, so we don't want to offend people. So when they say, oh, I need to think about it. Now the old adage would say, oh, so let's say they're in your office and they need to think about, oh, that's great. I'm just going to step outside and you can think about it, and just, you know, open the door up, and when you're done thinking, and I'll come in. Well, you know, you're not going to do that. But so if you say to them, you know, in all my years of sales experience, I hear that's a lot. And it's always one of two things. You're either not interested or you're not sure. Which one is it? Well, if they say they're not interested, then you know that you don't have to continue with your follow-up process and you're good to go. If they say they're not sure, it's then, so they're not interested, you're done. They're not sure, then you can go this. You know, most people will tell me that they're not sure for one of three reasons. They don't see how this is going to fit for them. They don't really understand the full function of it, or it's the finances. Which one is it? And this opens it up to be able to find out, you know, did you do a proper presentation? Find out the thing you need, or if it is price. So then you can identify it at the time with the price, and that's where you use your downsell, your cross sell, or, you know, maybe it's worth a little discount. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can't, you know, if they just are one of those 23%, it's all about price and they won't pay for your services, you know, you're not going to sell to everybody. So those are the people you're going to walk from. But in a lot of cases, they may say it's finances. If you go back to that system, depending on the product you sell, where you can take some stuff away and not make it as an expensive product, then, you know, you can do that. And, you know, and in a lot of cases, when you do that, you know, start taking things away, then they may say, oh, no, I gotta have that. And they'll end up paying your price or close to it. And so, just some ideas, you know, of making yourself a better performer. I'm not gonna read all of these. You guys can read that when you get the file, so. Okay. So again, I'm just gonna, so Laura, you mentioned relationship selling. I think the big thing there is, for you is just to be out there, building that relationship, see if you can remember names, just staying in touch with them, not coming across as pushy. Anything else that you'd like to hear more about that?
No, I think that's pretty good. I think it's now that now that we've opened up publicly, it makes it a little easier. I love to go cold calling. I'm one of those crazy people that
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah, so
and
just
I-
being able to walk into an office and say hi to somebody and leave behind information and get contacts and create a connection.
right.
That's, yeah, it's been
Right.
hard to do over the internet.
Yeah, it is. It's been tough. Like I didn't even know what Zoom was 2.5 years ago. So now I'm on here, you know, almost every day. So there's that. But yeah, it's going to be nice to get back to the offices and that. So, okay, hitting everything. So when you mentioned, Beth, my understanding is sale online. So you're looking at people to go to your website?
No, I was just referring to like building relationships when you're, you know, selling online, because we've been doing that a lot of emailing applications and that sort of thing. So
Okay,
it makes it
okay.
harder to.
Right, okay, yeah. I think that, so do you feel, or do many of the people that contact you, are they also contacting? Like,
other
I know
companies?
some people don't understand the insurance business. Aviva has a price. It's, you know, I'm not gonna get a better price if I call 10. So you have, but people still want to get a better price. You finding that as part of your issue?
Well, people are always shopping on price, but you know, that's why if you try to find some common ground and build a relationship, it like gives you an edge, but it's harder to do when you're selling via telephone calls and
Right.
emails.
Do you have can they buy it online from you? Like that they don't need, can they go?
No,
on your
they have to
website?
speak to us.
They have to speak to you, okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so cool. And so, yeah, I think it's just a case of, you might want to, in your messaging, I'm going to show a slide here in a minute and you'll be getting a copy of my email. If you want to just, if you have a message that you do typically leave, I'd be willing to, take a look at it and touch it up for you. And so, okay, I think I've covered everything. Is there anything I didn't cover for anybody that, because as I say, sales is so big. I've been doing it for 20, well, I hate to say this, been in sales for 48 years and been training it since 1987. So that's quite a while. And so anything that I didn't hit on, tips, ideas that you'd like to hear from? Okay, we either have a quiet bunch or I did a better job than I thought. So. Okay, I'm just gonna finish up here. So yeah, sales professionals, lead generation, finding more prospects, onboarding the customers that you find and fulfilling the service to them. And so There's another really cool first website. It's all my website, but the wrong is what most people do wrong in marketing. And the simulator is if you do some different things, how you can grow your company business. And you know, as I said, one of the really cool thing about raising prices is looking and saying, okay, how much business could I lose if I raise my prices 5%? It'll blow you away. That, you know, you could lose depending on the size of your business, but I've worked with some that could lose 33% of their business by just raising the prices 5%, and the bottom line would be the same. So, you know, if you're just, especially companies that start selling on price alone, like that. So, okay, well, I think we're 103 and 3 minutes over. So, thank you very much for your participation, sorry, and it was great to meet you all, and I'm sure we'll bump into each other somewhere in the future, and we'll see you at 2:30, Debbie.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, thanks
Thanks, Dave.
everybody.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome, and thank you. Okay, Carol, we'll chat later.
All right, sounds good.